Good afternoon, Scott Roulette T3 Live. Welcome to today's recap. What is today? Today is Wednesday. Feels like it's been a long week. Actually, is today Wednesday, Freddie? Today's Wednesday. I think I'm coming down with the flu. That's why I look a little eyes glassy and forehead a little, my forehead's actually always shiny. But anyway, a lot of bugs going around. So let's get back to the recap. So today you had your bounce day after a 4-5 session slide. Was it powerful? Was it potent? Some places acted better than others. I know I came in long, and I think I hit the high of my day by 9:40. And that was even trying to be long in the afternoon, thinking that after the minutes maybe we get another push, but felt like nothing really did anything. So kind of like a lot of the same from last year, where you have to be in the right place, right time, take your trade. If you add at one point, it could be detrimental to your position, and if you don't sell when you can, it could also turn into a little bit of a mess. So anyway, let's just look at the SPX. Looking at it from a quick glance, you had your false breakout here, 2,079. So if you sold there or sold into here, perhaps buying at the 100-day yesterday made some sense. That's when I think some of us got back involved. So this was like, I'm trying to think of or look at prior pivots. The last time this happened, you had a 2-day move, and then it cleared this area and didn't look back and reclaimed the 8-day. This time, you had a 3-day pivot that wound up, clearing the area and then getting back above the 8-day. So right now, this is just a day in the life, and hopefully, you made a little bit of money. Not saying that we're going to all of a sudden be back at highs, but there seems to be like there could be some room to test this area. Do we gap up into it? I don't know. Do we open a little bit lower, trade through it, and then that's where probably the bears who covered here, or that's where there'll be a little bit of a grudge match. We talk about grudge matches all the time. Right here was a little bit of a grudge match. If you remember, would it penetrate back to where it broke down from, and it penetrated and went. Here, was a grudge match spot, and it penetrated and took off through it. Remember, even at let's just back up to last beginning of the year, because the same kind of situation happened where, a little different. It always happens differently, but what you want to do is you want to look at things to see, if some things could happen and continue. So here you had the breakdown last January. Remember when it started the year? You had your bear flag continuation to the downside. Was there 3 days, traded above it. If it was a feeble bounce, probably would have stopped there, or maybe within here, but it went to the top of it, went inside, and continued. So you go back to where we are now, and at this point, nobody truly knows exactly where it's going to head and go up to. But if you have some longs that are acting decent, I would stay with them, at this point, and at least to here to figure it out. So you go into a few reasons why we probably go up, a few reasons why we go down. Let's get through a few of them. First of all, retail's been on a tear. Target, look at that wide range bar, back at highs. Walmart, back at highs, above the 8-day. Unfortunately, a lot of the tech stocks don't look like this, because you have Walmart above the 8 and 21-day. Ever since this gap and go. Let's go back to Target. Target, look at that, above the 8 and 21-day, never even pulled back to the 50 or 100-day. So this group has been showing relative strength, and I kind of apologize to the VTF that I haven't been in a lot of these names. I've been, I have 30 names I look at all the time, and they happen to be the ones that have been harder. So I haven't moved on, which I guess I should have, but at this point, I'm not going to start chasing these here. Off the charts actually has a big array of different types of stocks versus the 30 names that we typically look at, which is like high beta, tech, financials, some of the new issues, some of the thinner stocks that typically move fast, but these are moving just as fast. Someone said, look at Costco. Take a look at Costco. Looks like it could break out above this, perhaps. What did JCPenney's do today? Gapped up. A lot of people doubted that it could hold, but as of right now, this gap up did hold. And I guess if it could stay here for a few days and then perhaps reclaim the 200-day. At this point, this was a big-time squeeze that didn't run out of gas yet. And then you go to the bios. The bios are a group that we trade. And yesterday it looked as if the IBB was going to break down, right here, right? It looked like it broke this 303 range. And then you had to make a decision today, because I think off the charts listed it as a short, and it made sense if we were going to continue lower. Gapped up, closing the highs. If this were me and I was shorted, I would probably cover and take my licks and say that sucked and move on, because this is one of the few areas also that's above the 8 day now and held the 50-day. So it is a candidate if we do continue to go back to highs. So if you did get short with off the charts, and I'm not sure where he put his stop, if it were me, I would stop out of it. I was almost going to take it home long overnight, because I felt like if we have continuation, that's the strongest group, but I didn't. But there are a lot of stocks in that group that look good. Guild talked about it getting into the gap. It looks like it's on its way. I posted the chart of ILMN, and this is also a really nice looking chart, breaking out above this 189 area. Who knows? It looks like this is going to be at highs. I know taking some biotech stocks are hard because you never know if it's going to be good news or bad news. So maybe you took some in the money calls to see where it's going. Let's see what else is going on. There's like a lot of action in all these little ones, and I'm not the guy to name them all. Usually the traders that trade the news, that trade high volume, they go after them. And I can't. What was one of them? Was it Halo? Yeah, look at that stock. Big volume, took out that whole area. Nice break. Go through your filters. Actually look at this nice long-term base, broke out and went. I know there were a few others. Let's see, Juno. That's something I'm familiar with because it was a new issue, and we talked about it turning up, and it didn't have enough juice to break out. But I would keep this on the radar. As long as it maybe now holds a little bit higher again, above 50, perhaps it can go. And what I'll do is in my notes tomorrow, I'll list some of the stocks that are moving around. I have to show this one because I have it long on the VTF. It traded a big volume the past few days, and the way some of these stocks have all went when they trade big volume, this has the potential. So with that said, I don't usually get involved in things like this. So if you are reading my disclosures, here is huge volume that came in on this day, held in, tried to go today, came off the highs. I guess, see what's next. If you look at the weekly chart, it doesn't really tell you much except for at one point, way back in the day in 2012, this was a $50 stock. So maybe there is something exciting about it, because I think someone wrote a note saying it, could go a lot higher. That's all I'll say about it. But at this point, we'll see. I would use this area as a stop. Then you go to the names that we trade. So I came in with BABA, Twitter, and Apple. All good reasons to come in long, considering that Apple tried to show some relative strength. BABA was the strongest on the board yesterday, and Twitter also, big move. So what I do, just to explain my strategies, when I come in long, I typically, before I come in the morning call here at 7:30, if there's a big gap up, I usually sell a third. Like when Apple was up 80 cents this morning, I sell some. When BABA was up $1.10 when I walked in the morning, sell some. When Twitter was up 40 cents in the morning, sell some. Then I do the morning call, I put up some charts, I come back by my desk around 9 o'clock to see where it's at. Sometimes it's a little higher, sometimes it's a little lower. Then I typically get to, half. So, and then I try and figure out if I did not come in long, how is it acting? Can I add to what I had overnight and get even more for a trade number 2? Or does it all of a sudden fade, go red, I get out of some more, it starts to act bad, and then I get flat and I wait. So, with Apple, didn't really do much today. Okay, taking a look at it, let me remove some of the volumes because excuse my charts a little bit here. It still looks okay, just didn't do anything after the first hour. So you could definitely turn yourself to pieces. This is when it broke the 8-day. Here it held the 100-day, a little bit of a red dog reversal, and then there was a trade, okay, above the prior high, okay, because in order for it to potentially get into the moving averages, it's got to trade above a prior high, and that's why I listed 107.43. So there was a small trade there, and it went to 108.20, but then it did nothing since. So if you go to the 5-minute chart, so you didn't come in long Apple, and you're like, okay, I want to, I want to just day trade it. It held steady. Okay, I came in long it, I sold some into it, and then I did try and add right here. Okay, and then into 108, I sold what I added, and that's when I think I tweeted, said if you came in long Apple and took an extra trade at 107.43, sell some and hold some. So that's how you make cash flow in this spot. And if you came in flat and you bought it into the holding of the gap, you added it, and then that was your day trade. So it could have been done two ways. But since then, it really did nothing all day. Okay, so I'm still long some Apple. Maybe there's a gap up tomorrow. it'd be better to be able to trade through this because you can have more. And you go back to the daily chart, it seems as if it could see this 109 level before it gets into a lot of resistance. Then there was BABA. BABA has been a great stock months ago, and then it's been in this consolidation phase. It opened up and didn't look back. Chart pattern still in the same way. First of all, this is when you had your move and it hovered and went above the 8 and 21 day, gave you a lot of good trades. Okay, and then this is when it went into this consolidation phase. If you remember, first time we were looking at it was right here. Tried to go, couldn't. So that was a little frustrating. And then it broke down here, so some guys actually got short. And now, if you look at it here, looked as if maybe it starts to go again. So before today, it was definitely worth owning because it went green and while the market was still red yesterday. So you had a little follow through, but you sell some because you didn't know if it was going to break out. And then when it went red, you could have sold some. And now looks like a lot of the same. So maybe, it opens up, you get an inside day, and we get to some kind of apex here, and then it breaks above it and changes. But until then, keep taking your trades. Same thing happened with Twitter. Twitter, I was like, we have these big day ones, but they rarely ever hold. So, the day one steals from the day two, day three, and plus, on top of it, there was some talk that Icon would be taking a big stake, so you couldn't take home what you wanted to if it was a different situation. So I took it home. It was up 40 to 70 cents pre-market. You could have done anything you wanted. And, so basically Twitter did what it's done many times already since the earnings gap. You had day one, opened up, failed. 2 days, failed, and engulfed it. And then yesterday, it traded above this area. And, and then it probably came down too much to have momentum here where you could blindly own it. I think we mentioned if 38 holds, perhaps that's good. And it was actually up higher this morning, and now it took back more than a third. Usually if something's going to be really strong, you want it to hold the top third for continuation, not come back in. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Facebook, definitely frustrating, has not, gained its footing. Today I tried it a few times, it didn't work. This was your false breakout up here. And now it's below the 8 and 21 day. I don't think you can just blindly hold it. It's coming into some bigger support. It's coming. Even here on this downtrend. Sometimes I guess it tries to wear everybody out before doing something, but ultimately not acting well. This is something you should not be in tier 2, tier 3. You should be still waiting on. I know it was hard to expect something like this to happen to go into highs. But at least you had your day one and it cleared it. This could have been your area. I know here it looked pretty horrendous too. Where it was coming in and it was out of play, and look where it broke down from, and then gap up, held, and went to high. So people think that could happen again, but there's still no signal yet. Google is still very weak. Heading back to these low areas, never held this move right there. Oil gave a bit of a reversal today. Who knows, maybe get a little bit more of a bounce just to show you how trends should be followed and not traded with opinions. This is when oil broke the 8 and 21 day. This is when it broke the 200 day. That's you didn't have to be in it at all. And this is when it broke major support. And then here is when everyone was talking about it when it broke 80. Look at that, 30 down to 18. So if you didn't take any of this pain, which a lot of us didn't, look at this, below the 21 day this entire time. Not something to own. Tiny, tiny trades here and there, and that's it. Below all the rest of them as well. So we'll see what happens. Oil did reverse today. We'll see if there's any traction, and it's not compelling. It was below 47, and I talked about it in my thesis. If it gets below 47.5, maybe buy tier 1. So if you did so, you know what? I would still wait. Keep the powder dry because it's still got a long way to go. XLE, what'd you do today? This too. People are crying about the XLE, but I don't understand. Active traders would not be in this. People call momentum traders momentum monkeys because of whatever, but you know what? If you got out of it when it broke the 8 and 21 day, you had no pain, and then if you said, I'm going to give it, to the 50 day, it retested this, it broke there. Or if you could have said, something's not investable if it breaks below the 200 day and doesn't reclaim it in 4 or 5 sessions, you could have saved yourself a heck of a lot of pain, a heck of a lot of money by following trends and following rules. So now, not much traction here, still a red day on a green day and still below every moving average out there. So you better be quick and nimble. If you're going to play that, you better watch your 3 and 5 minute charts, because if you get a quick move and it's, oh my goodness, this one's it, if it breaks those top third 50% commitment levels, you just got to get out of it because the trade keeps changing. I don't know how many times people are like, oh, look at the XLEs, they're rallying and they're up 90 cents or up $1.10, and then an hour later they're flat. So if you're making money scalping, and make sure you don't give it back. Some of the restaurant stocks actually look good. This Loco, which didn't do didn't do that well by us. I remember we tried it so many times here and it failed. And finally, when this happened, I think we stopped watching it. So maybe some people bottom fed it. Someone pointed out Wendy's, which nice looking chart actually, above the 8 and 21 day here, broke out. Not sure what's going on here except for you have a 2-year long-term base, and I know my son loves the chicken nuggets and fries, and we've done all of them. So perhaps if I would have saw this maybe earlier with this base above all these moving averages, I could have put this in my 2015 report, but I didn't. But anyway, looks pretty good. See what happens there. What's McDonald's doing? Is it getting any better looking? Not really. Perked up a little bit today. It's going to have a lot of resistance right there. CMG has been the momentum winner. We listed this, where I talked about this here, okay, and I think my note broke out, gave a nice trade, came back in, and what a wide range bar today. So see what happens here tomorrow if it goes through there. So there's a lot of things going on in a lot of places, but not everything is participating. So you have to be very careful. You have to know what you're in. You have to know why you're in. Like the banks did nothing today. Maybe they bounce a little bit tomorrow. BlackBerry, I don't know why. Citron put out a positive report, and I was kind of reaching. So I looked at the chart. I was like, Citron's really never positive on much. I'll buy a little bit. So bought some there. That'll be my stop. And maybe at some point it does get above here and goes big time. If you look overall, it's a huge channel. You take out that overthrow there. Someone's been accumulating this thing for, a year or so. So maybe who knows? People want secure phones or whatnot. So it could happen. Some of the security stocks yesterday got a lot of us out, and still, overall, this FIRE has a lot to prove, and it doesn't really turn into anything unless it trades above this with some type of volume. So at this point, really just a choppy mess, and there's nothing really to get overly enamored with. I know I have this as a potential good trade for this year, but that could also happen when it goes maybe an earnings report or some kind of gap up. Yeah, that 34-ish is really the spot. What's Cyber doing? Cyber is still forming. Keep it on the radar. It was a great mover last year. This also is in the security industry. Gap up after earnings. Gave a little trade here when it cleared its descending channel, and now it's right back here. So I would say this needs to hold really 36 to stay interesting, and then at some point, perhaps, you see some volume come in, and you watch for that and write this down. Above this 38-ish area, it can go. And that's about it. I'm hoping I'll be at the morning call tomorrow, but I really feel like I have a fever. My eyes are glassy, and either I'm in a bad mood or I don't feel good. I'm usually not in a bad mood for so long, and I feel like I've been in one for 2 days. So I think it's coming on. I know the market has me in a little bit of a bad mood, and I know the VTF I think is a little wishy-washy right now because, again, there's been some decent moves, but it's been a little erratic, and a lot going on overnight versus intraday when we like to grab and hold things when we have more control. So just let it go, and just talk about stocks, and we're all real guys, so just try and deal with all the personalities. And I got a new microphone today. I apologize that it didn't work. I have my technology team looking at it, so there's no static in my voice. If you hear me loud and clear tomorrow, it's probably going to be from Short Hills because I didn't feel well enough to travel. Have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow.